Yeah, we were meant to do morning, but I was meant to be at a casting this morning. But yesterday I had a shoot and I've done something to my shoulder. And I
Right.
woke up this morning and I was like, I can't move. There's no way I'm making it to that casting.
So in conversation has been set up with the magazine. It's just a chance for me to talk to you and for you to explain yeah, how you've got started, what it's like in the industry, and give us some insight into how the images were created. Um, but if we go from the start, how long have you been modeling for?
So I signed with Shador literally a week before the first lockdown.
Right.
So not long at all. I still feel like I'm so new to it. Well, I am, but like if you're looking at it from a perspective of like years, it's been like 2 and a bit years, but it hasn't actually like I think it actually felt real to me like, about a year ago when things not even that, maybe less, when things actually started happening because we weren't doing anything. I feel like there's a lot of us lockdown babies that got signed. um,
Mm.
but we weren't doing anything over lockdown and like the only things that they could send us on was it was all limited and I was really scared to even take on those like shoots and tests because I was living with my parents and my dad's extremely high risk. So the slightest thing, I was like, no, no, sorry, no, no, no.
Yeah.
So I think I only did like one shoot over lockdown, and that was my first ever job. And that was it was a hair shoot. So that was yeah, that was the only thing I did.
Did you do any of the sort of FaceTime ones or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, I did one of them, yeah.
How did
Yeah,
you find it?
it was quite weird because my parents' house, there's like no natural light. It's awful. It's so dark in there. And we were like trying to find the best spot and stuff. And I ended up using like one of their plants or something to balance my phone. And then I had to like move their bed because they had a really good window and they have a huge bed and I was trying to move it and it was nice for the experience because the guy was lovely, the photographer was lovely, but it was so weird. It's so different to like actual shoots and like obviously you can't really get the quality you get in from a professional camera. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think especially like say, as it being with it being like early days, um,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of tricky to sort of like by that point, like you say, you got started just before the start of lockdown. What did you have? Had you done much? That was like agency signed. Had you done much modeling before then, or was that the kind of
um,
first
that
kind of
was the
step?
first, yeah. Yeah, so I actually it all started on Instagram and then they were like, oh, can you come into the office for a casting? And I went into the office and I remember I looked at other agencies just in case like it didn't go well with Jador. And my parents live in Swindon, so that's about a 3 hour drive from Manchester. And I went there with my dad. And I was like, okay, so if it doesn't go well with Jador, at least I know there's other agencies there so we can have a look whilst we're there. Because it was the first time I ever drove up to Manchester. And it went really well with Jador. I met Sam, which is the director, one of them, and she was quite lovely. And she was like, "Yeah, we'll give you the contract and everything, and we can go from there." And we had one meeting like the next week with I think it was like 10 of us that all got signed at the same time. And then it was like, okay, we're going into lockdown, and that was it. Haven't seen them since, I don't think,
Yeah.
in person. So
So what was that? What was
yeah.
that first? Yeah, that first year. Like I think you said you had like one shoot. Um, was it really tough, or was it kind of nothing to base on? So it's really hard to sort of. How was it really?
Well, I think because I'm a student, I don't, this isn't like my, it's not that it's not my priority, but it's not like I have to rely on this. I have to, at the moment, I have to focus on my degree because I'm a I'm a finalist, so it's hitting hard. um but yeah, I think it was quite weird, because obviously you go into it thinking, oh my gosh, everything's gonna happen, and even if like I don't make it, I'm still gonna get an experience of some sort. And there was just nothing. It was so weird. It was nothing, because I know some models that were obviously had the experience, or obviously had a following on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. They were able to carry on doing modeling from home. And it wasn't the same for us, because obviously we had no experience. So I don't really blame the brands for not getting in touch with us and stuff. So yeah, it was quite weird for the whole year. And I didn't tell anyone. I told my partner at the time, and obviously my parents, but people would only find out if they actually looked on my profile on Instagram, because obviously we had to put like actual door models, but that's literally it. That's all I did.
That for like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it. And then people would look at it and be like, what's that on your Instagram? And I'd be like, don't know.
You should have just had like coming soon or something like that. Like, yeah.
Pending.
Yeah. Pending till the end, at the end of pandemic. So
Yeah,
when that
honestly.
I mean, let's say it's still not over yet that way, but it's obviously eased off a lot more. And after that first year, things did ease off and things were opening up a bit more. Well, I mean, we're going to go through some of them. There's quite a few, like some of the like big brands you shot with as well. So when things opened up, how was it? Was it a steady kind of thing, stuff coming through, or did you just, well, there's loads of stuff coming in then?
So I remember with J'adore, when we had that first like introduction meeting, they were quite big on like, your portfolio is like the most important thing. So while we appreciate you can't like spend thousands of pounds, because paid shoots, I didn't know, I knew nothing when I started. I didn't even know I could do it. That's why initially I started, because I was speaking to somebody, and my whole life I heard, oh my gosh, you're really tall, because I'm really tall for a girl at least. And they were like, oh my gosh, you should be a model. Da, 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 da. And ever since we moved to the UK, I had Barbies, I had Vogue, I had like all the girly things, and everything I saw was skinny, white, blonde. Like no one looked like me. So I was like, I don't fit into this. Like I have one factor, I have the height. That is it. And then I was speaking to somebody, and I was only 19, 20, yeah. And they were like, well, what if you get to like 50 and you question yourself, and you're like, well, I never even tried it. So why, like, what if? So I just literally went up to Manchester, and I was like, okay, like if it's meant to happen, it's gonna happen. I literally had no hopes. And then once we started getting like the portfolio kind of built, because it doesn't happen overnight, because it is expensive. Like you can do free ones, but sometimes they're not as good as the what you pay for the images, I mean. And as soon as we started to build on that is when the clients kind of started to appear. At first it was I've gone through such a change. My hair was like down to my bum, and then it's just really short, and then I had a fringe at some point, and my book is just like all over the place. But that was when it just started, really. Everything started to open back up, and at first it was the tests. It wasn't really work, it was mainly just for my book. And then as soon as we had like some images, that's when the clients started to come in, and it just happened. It felt like it happened really fast. Yeah, it wasn't like a steady, okay, 1 2. It just kind of went, okay, no, you're doing this day, and then this that day, and then can you go here? I'm like, yeah. And then it's uni, so I took all of December and January off, well, mid-December, and I just literally did nothing. I just had my exams, and every single email I'd get, I'd be like, no, 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 sorry. Because I can't do it. Exam stress for final year was too much. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I think yeah, I think like prioritizing the exams, and I mean, like I say, that's stressful enough as it is. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, at least you've managed to kind of balance the two. And you mentioned there, you were saying about some of the early tests, and you said about like your longer hair. I think that can take us into the first image as well. That was the one I was going to talk about. That's where you got the white jumper on. And was that, so how long ago was that? Was that one of the earlier ones?
That was with Lucas. I can't pronounce his second name. I'm not gonna botch it. But he was, yeah, it was one of my first ever paid shoot was with Tamila. I can't pronounce her second name either, but she was lovely. She was really, really nice, and she's all on natural light. So I had no studio lights with her or anything. It was in her apartment in London, and it was lovely. And obviously I had no idea what I was doing, but she was really great. And then I think he was like one of the third ones I shot with. And yeah, he's kind of the first photographer to be like, you need to focus on like your eyes. You need to like actually express what you're feeling and like what I want to capture with your eyes. Because obviously you don't realize, like you look at an image of a model and you're like, okay, she's just sitting there. When in reality, if you're just sitting there and you're not focusing on what you're doing, you just look dead. But he was like, no, you need to do this, da, 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 da. And he gave me so many like tips that I actually focus on now. And that was the first time I think that I had, because I think it's his girlfriend is the stylist that he works with. So that was the first time I was like, so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to fit into like normal generic like 6 to 8 sizes of like Zara models, because my hips are really wide, and I fit into the clothes. And I just remember going home like, Mom, it actually went well, like it was fine. And then I looked at the images and I was like, oh, I see what he means now, because obviously the images I got back from that shoot are quite different, because obviously how he was directing the shoot, and that's so important when it comes to actually working with a photographer and like feeding off the vibes that he wanted. So
Yeah, was that's something like, so when you get the images back, was that something that jumped out? Like, so you really noticed a difference with how you're posing and how it's coming across?
yeah, and he doesn't just like, he won't just say it, he'll express himself in a way that you're like, okay, that's what he wants me to do. And then he'll get up like pictures of other shoots for references and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot easier to make it flow if the photographer is really clear on the image and like the vision board and stuff. Otherwise, if you get there and it's like it's dragging a bit and there's like that friction, then yeah, it's not the greatest.
Yeah, is that something you prefer on a shoot then, to sort of be set up quite a bit of direction, but like I say, the photographer almost showing you certain poses and stuff? Is that something, does that just make it easier to get on the same wavelength?
I mean, now it doesn't, obviously, because that was one of like the early ones. I had no idea what I was doing, so I appreciated that a lot. So I think at the start, for somebody that doesn't know what to do and stuff, I think that helps them a lot, especially it gives them confidence as well, that even though like they're new and stuff, they're not just going to disregard you and stuff. I don't know how to explain it, but now they only do that if it's like an editorial and they need a specific pose. Because I think I flow a lot better. I don't think I'm a pro at all. I still don't know what I'm doing, but but I think it's not as it just works a lot faster now, because I'm not like tense, and like you have to move your body in a specific way, and especially because I'm tall, it feels so weird, like some of the poses that I do, especially sitting down, like it's not comfortable at all. But then you look at the image and you're like, oh, okay, I see what they mean, like do this to create a specific shape. when you look at the image, but when you're actually doing it, it's horrendous.
Yeah, well, I think that's something with that just comes with like, yeah, the more you do it, and the more shoots you've done, and like you say,
Yeah, for sure.
comparing that to early ones, you sort of see when you are doing certain poses, you think, oh, this might not work, we're not sure, but then you kind of you remember that for future shoots when you go, now I remember what
Oh
sort
yeah,
of
for
poses
sure.
were.
Yeah.
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 And do you miss, that was like we said about the hair's a bit longer, do you miss the longer hair because now you got it a bit
Oh
shorter?
yeah. Yeah. I don't hate the short hair at all. I don't hate it, like, but I just think it's just part of who I am. I just miss my safety blanket. And it's just, I didn't tell anyone I was going to cut it because it was Jador that suggested it. And
Mhm.
I had just come back from my exchange program for my degree. So I was in Spain for a semester. And I got back on, like, say, a Thursday. On the Friday, I booked the haircut. So my parents went to work, came back, and I walked in, and they just looked at me like, "What have you done?" Because they don't hold back at all. Like the Brazilian and Italian culture, they're quite blunt. You're like, why did you do that? What? Why? Like, my dad was just speechless. He was like, and I was like, it's just hair. Like, it's fine. And then I remember having a shower, and usually when you wash your hair and you have long hair, you like tip it over, and there was just no hair. I was like, where is it? But I do miss it. But I think it changed like my face a lot.
Yeah,
I
was
think it
that,
changed.
yeah, you say like the agency sort of recommended, what did they say to you? Was it just something for with like feels like the overall look, or?
Ever since I got signed, she asked me. But I had my dad next to me, so I think I had more confidence than she was like, would you consider getting your hair cut? I was like, no. My dad looked at me like, tell her no. So I was like, maybe the end. Yes. And then they left it for a year, and then they asked me again, and they sent me pictures of the reference. And at first I didn't go with shorts. I don't know if you saw it. I didn't go, it was like here at first. And then I personally didn't like it because I was like, well, it's not one or the other. It's like it's in that in between phase. It's not short and it's not long. So I'll just cut it short. Then I went back and cut it even shorter. Second heart attack for my parents, and it was fine.
Yeah,
Um,
it's one of those that, yeah, it just takes a bit of time to get used to, and if you're used to long hair. But
yeah, I think it's especially with all the Brazilian models, they all have long hair because it's like one of the things we're known for is our hair. So for me to do it, like, I can't even imagine what my family in Brazil are going to say, because I haven't been back in 5 years. So we're planning on going back this summer. So I can already imagine the comments like, why? Like, what have you done? But it's fine. Like, I don't hate it, and that's what's important. Like, I don't, if I'm fine with it, then it's all good.
yeah,
But it's just like getting used to it and knowing how to style it, especially if you're going on shoots and there's no hair and makeup artist. You just have to do it all by yourself, and like especially at the start. So what do I do? And it's, you can tell in certain images where I've done my hair and where a professional has,
mm,
especially at the start when it was short, because it's just, you don't really know. It's quite foreign.
yeah, it's a whole new thing to sort of getting to learn and sort of,
Yeah.
yeah, like I say, how to style it. Yeah, we'll go on to the next one was the so I think this is a bit more of a jump in time. So this is the Manchester United Adidas shoot.
Yeah.
So it was this one's a bit more recent. How did this come about? Was this through the agency?
Yeah, so this one was through Jador, I believe. And that was, I think that was one of the first shoots with my short hair. And you can tell it wasn't done by a professional straight away. Well, I can. And I saw the advert, the email, and I was like, oh, okay. So I know Adidas and Man United, obviously. I know who they are, but Pro Direct, never heard of them. And then I looked up and I was like, oh, okay, so this is kind of a big deal. Okay, cool. And then I was quite excited to do it. And it was only a small team. And I remember I got to the studio and there was a little cat, a set cat, and I was like, oh, this is so cute. And then I got there and I met another model that I had only known on Instagram, and he's with Shador as well. And one of the girls that were there she was from Shador as well, but I had never heard of her, but she was quite new as well. So it was quite nice that it was kind of switched. It wasn't me asking the other model for like reassurance. It was the other way around. She was asking me questions and stuff. I was like, this is so weird. Like, I know the answers to them, but I don't consider myself to like have that much experience.
Yeah.
But it was really nice, and the whole team, they were lovely. And it was such a like laid back shoot. Like, we got it done so fast, and we were just talking at lunchtime and stuff about the YouTubers that they worked with. So like Chunks and Philly, I don't know if you know them.
No.
Yeah, they're quite big YouTubers, and Pro Direct like sponsors them with their content or something like that. And obviously the team was talking about it and like how they are on camera versus real life and stuff, and that was quite nice because then I actually knew what they were on about. But that Pro Direct as a whole, I had no idea before I worked with them. And then the photos came out and I saw myself on the website, and all of my friends from school, like the boys obviously that are into football, especially one of my exes, he was like, are you being serious? Because he's a Man United fan. And he was like, oh my God. And I walked into uni the next day, and one of my partners, the Italian, he was like, oh yeah, put that into the group chat just casually. Just didn't think to mention that one, did you? Yeah. But yeah, it's quite weird to me. But it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, you say about the team, you say it was like a smallish team. What were you with the image? What are you, yeah, when you're looking at down the team, is it how can you remember how many people are on set?
So it was the photographer, and then two other girls. That was the team. And then obviously they had, I think it was 9 models. Most of them were from Jador. I think it was just one that wasn't from Jador actually.
Yeah.
But I only knew Isaac. So, well, I mean, I spoke to him on Instagram, and then that's when I met him, and he was lovely. But yeah, it was a really small team. But it was fine because we just got everything, like they were so organized that we got there, our outfits, like the amount of changes and stuff, they were all laid out. They explained how the day was going to go, and then it was me and Isaac first. We got our bit done, and then we stopped for lunch because we had to wait for the other models to arrive, because then they had to shoot their bit, and then they wanted Isaac and I to stay for the group photos, and that was it. It was so fast, honestly.
Yeah. Quite chilled, quite fast, everything planned out.
Yeah, it wasn't stressful at all,
Yeah.
because sometimes like the team can be lovely, but you can just feel the tension. With that shoot, everyone was so laid back and like willing to talk, and to just like, no one was stuck up or anything like that. Everyone was so chilled. So yeah, it was really nice.
It makes it easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Did they tell you much what they wanted, like in terms of poses? Did you have a mood board or anything like that? Or was it just really just go with the flow?
Yeah, no, so they had a mood board because of the way the lighting was. So they gave us an idea of what the images were were going to look like. Well, the photographer did. But in terms of like movement and stuff, they just said like really laid back, really chilled, because for the shirt that I'm wearing the shirt and the shoes. The jeans are mine. The jewelry, like it was all mine. They were like, no, we want it to be casual, so just whatever you're comfortable with. And they looked at my jeans, they're like, no, we really like your jeans, keep them on. So yeah, it was literally just quite free and quite just go with the flow.
Is that something you get with on shoots quite a bit, where it's like if you sort of you get asked to sort of take some of your own items or anything like that? Or
Yeah, they say that for especially test shoots, you have to bring your own stuff, because most of the time it will either not include styling or makeup. That's another thing actually, like if you're not good at doing your own makeup, then you'll struggle because the amount of times that I've had to do my own makeup, and I'm quite lucky that during college, I think secondary school, college, I got really into makeup. So I was fine. Like I don't mind doing my own makeup. And I've just done a test shoot, and I posted some BTS, and like some of the makeup artists that I worked with, they all messaged me like, oh my gosh, your makeup looks amazing and stuff. I was like, funny you say that. Oh, it was me. And they're like, no way. But yeah. But I love it. But in terms of styling and doing my own hair, that's where I'm like, no, I hate it. Because they like stylists and people that are paid to do what they do, they just know how to do it a lot better than you. So sometimes I get there and they're like, can you bring your own clothes? I'm like, why? Because I just want to have like the stuff already there, and because sometimes you just don't have like stuff that looks good on camera, so it's quite basic, and you can tell when it's like my own, because with the test shoots I have this one bodysuit from Zara that I always bring it, because last case scenario we go with that one. So I've shot in it multiple times because it's basic and it fits me well. But apart from that, I don't really own anything that's like that I like to bring. So yeah, I'm quite basic when
just
it
have
comes
like
to styling.
a couple of items that are just like go-tos, all rounders.
Yeah,
the bodysuit. Especially for tests and stuff.
Yeah.
When you're preparing for a shoot, do you have? Is there any kind of like routines you have or anything like that in the morning or anything like that?
I don't think so. No, I
Even
like.
if it's like just a strong coffee or something as well, or just to wake up.
Oh no, I don't function without coffee. Absolutely not. No, it's bad. But yeah, even if I'm running super late, I will have my coffee, and it's black coffee. No sugar. No, I don't take sugar with anything. But that's yeah, and it's not the greatest and it's not the healthiest, especially not for me, because I've got like heart issues. I'm not allowed like a lot of caffeine. But recently, because of modeling, I was on like 3 coffees and it wasn't doing anything, because I like the taste of coffee. It's not because I can't function without it. It's because I genuinely I'm addicted to the taste of it. And I was at a shoot and I was like, I can't keep my eyes open. I think it was a jewelry shoot and it was just obviously like my face, and I was like, I literally can't. So I had an energy drink and that was it. It was the first Red Bull. So now everywhere I go, there's a sugar-free Red Bull in my bag, like modeling. I don't drink it at uni, but it's bad.
That's I think
one of
I think the thing with like coffee and caffeine stuff, like you do start becoming a bit used to it, and like I say, it's not quite having the effect that it has. Like
no,
I don't drink much coffee now. I have like some of those little sachets, and when I started having them, it felt like such a big hit because I'd never really drank coffee before. And
really?
And I think like I say over time, I think it's almost like the effects wear off slightly. But
oh yeah,
I was just thinking from your side as well. I think from like the model side, anything like that where it's kind of waking up, because I think you get there, you're always like one of the first team to get there as well, and getting ready and everything,
Yeah.
and then you're straight into it, like in front of the camera, and you need to be awake. So I think, because
Yeah,
like I say, it shows, and I think yeah. So anything like
it
that.
definitely shows. Yeah, yeah, especially with my eyes. Like you can see anything. Like my eyes go puffy and then they start going red. And I wear contacts as well, which doesn't help. And it just you have to keep up somehow. And not not doing drugs, but so caffeine is the only thing that I have. But you do, I think, even if you don't like the taste of it, you just see everyone on set and it's either a coffee or a Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
And like the shoot that I did yesterday, it was monsters. I was like, no, I wouldn't go as far as a monster. I'll stick to Red Bull for now. But
Yeah, they're quite strong, those. Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't. I'm quite scared of them, to be honest. But no, but it's, I think if I wasn't doing this, I'd still consume as much. Probably not Red Bull, but coffee. I don't think it would change really because of like our culture, especially the Brazilian side. It's just like here, you're like, oh, do you want to come in for a cup of tea? In Brazil, it's like you go into someone's house and it's coffee straight away. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not even like dirty water, is what my gran calls the coffee here, because it's not strong.
Yeah.
It's literally the little filtered strong espressos all day, every day. It could literally be like 8 in the evening, and they'll be like, yeah, come in for a coffee, and you'll have it and you'll go to bed fine. It's literally part of the culture.
Yeah.
So I don't think, yeah.
Well, I think it's, yeah, it's
Yeah.
also going to be one of those things that, yeah, it's always on set, because I think, yeah, sometimes like the energy that's required for, like, it can be long days as well. I think to constantly keep that energy up, I think it's definitely needed.
Yeah, I think it dips a bit as well after lunch. So obviously,
Mhm.
depending on the lunch you have, you feel like you need a nap after, and you just can't. Especially if you're the model, because the makeup artist will fit. I don't know how they always finish first, and they're like, "Okay, come on for a touch up." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine." And then it's like, obviously, you have to leave lunch like 10 minutes before everyone else, and you have to wake up again. You can't just feel like bloated or anything like that. You just have to keep on going. So it's like it's a coffee in the morning, it's a coffee after break, after lunch, to go home. It's just, you just have to keep up, otherwise you just start like feeling it in your face. You're like, you're trying to stay awake for it, especially if it's like close-ups and your eyes are just like down here and puffy. You just can't have that.
Yeah.
You can see it straight away, and then you feel the photographer's like, are you okay?
Yeah. Well, I get that similar feeling from the top, doing photography from that side as well. I find that, yeah, when you have a lunch and there's that slump,
Yeah,
I know exactly that kind of feeling, and I think I don't like to sort of sit down for too long or anything like that during lunch. So I think it can be a hard one to like overcome. But
for sure.
when you are shooting, is there anything anything you prefer on a shoot as well, like certain types of music, or do you like the shoots where there's like a lot of energy, or do you prefer it a bit chilled as well?
I think it depends on what we're shooting, to be honest. I love a set dog. It could be like the worst shoot on earth. If there's a dog there, then I'm fine. I'm literally, oh, it brings me so much joy. I
Is it too much
remember,
of a distraction?
oh yeah, I will be that person. Everyone will be like socializing. I'll just be sat over there with the dog. I'll happily be that person. Yeah. But it's always fun when there's a set dog. Or I think it depends on the shoot though, but I think I prefer when everyone's like on the same buzz and like everyone's energized and like there's no like sense of superiority. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't know. I did the, yeah, it's out now, I can talk about it. I did the TFL, Adidas, and Arsenal shoot, and I had no idea that there were two ladies standing like in the corner and observing. I had no idea they were like the big people, like the big clients, because they weren't like looking at you in a specific way or talking to you in a specific way. They were just fine. They were just there. Like that's a lot more. Like, it just makes the day a lot better when it's like that, and everyone's like getting to know each other. Because especially with the models, like you can't know everyone, even if you're like with the same agency. When I did that shoot, I think we were all from BMA, but I had never met anyone there. So it was quite nice. And like by the end of it, we had a group chat on Instagram, and we still talk to each other now. So it was really lovely. So I do prefer it when it's like fast paced and, you know, okay, let's go, and you're like becoming best friends with the makeup artist, and she's telling you stories about her dating life. It just makes it so much fun, honestly.
Yeah. I think you say it takes the pressure off a little bit. So like I say, even if you're shooting for clients or anything, and I think
Yeah,
say if everyone's on the kind of same wavelength and everyone's got the same sort of energy, I think it makes the day go a bit easier. And you also get, I think personally, I think that you get the best out of people that way when everyone's more relaxed.
oh yeah,
and there's less pressure.
definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
the next image we're going to move to is the Dora Larson one. Same again with this. Was this another one through the agency as well?
Yeah, that was my first ever lingerie shoot. So that was way out of my comfort zone. It still is. Like, I still don't have all the pictures for that. So my friends, it'll come up on like sponsors on my friends' Instagram, and one of my friends actually sent me their latest video. I was like, I hadn't even seen that, so thank you. And I was looking at it and I was like, oh, that's really cute. But like, there are some pictures that I'm like, I don't want to see that, because obviously you just don't love every picture, and especially when you're that exposed. Like, I'm not used to it at all. It was quite weird seeing it, like when it first started to come out. It was just so weird. And when people started sending me it, I was like, oh gosh, like how do I feel about this? But the team, it's like, it was all women. The owner was there, and I didn't even know that it was one of those days as well. Like, she was there. She was so like down to earth, and I had no idea she owned the whole brand. So yeah, I went in for a casting in their office. I think it was a couple of weeks before the shoot, but part of that launch that they did, they had a couple of mesh pieces, and it was obviously completely see-through. And when I went in for the casting, I saw the pieces and I was like, I'm not okay with this. But at the time, I literally said nothing. I put them on because obviously it was only a casting. I was like, the chances of me actually getting this is like pretty slim, so it won't matter. I tried it on and it was fine, and then I get a call back and they're like, okay, they want you to do the shoot. And I was like, actually, I don't want to do the see-through pieces. And that was like, it was really big for me, because obviously I'm so shy, and I'm like, how do I tell them that without, like offending anyone and stuff? It's just not something I'm comfortable with. It's just too much exposure for me. And I told my parents were like, no, you just need to tell them, like, if it's meant to be, it will be. Just tell them how you feel. And I told them, I was like, I'm comfortable doing any other pieces. They were all fine. It was just the see-through ones that I just don't want to do. They're like, okay, no worries. And then they got back to the client, and the client was like, no, that's fine, we still want her. I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. So they were like, okay, we'll book you for a half day, so you do all the other pieces, just not those pieces. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I obviously went back. I was really, really nervous to go back and I don't know, get a certain vibe from them, being like, oh, she doesn't want to do da, 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 da. But it was not like that at all. They were so like chilled back and they understood it, obviously. And I went in for a half day and it was the loveliest studio. It was so nice. And they had like pampers arrangements everywhere. But I've never like it was so fast. It was so many different pieces. And by the end by the end of it, like dignity was lost. Like it was just like on and off, on and off. It was you couldn't even cover yourself because you're so used to it and there's so many pieces that you have to go through. But by the end of it, it was only, I think it was 11 till 5. I was so tired. So tired. Like, oh my gosh. But yeah, the pieces were lovely. Everyone was lovely, and they weren't like rude or anything. But I didn't want to do that certain pieces. So that was my first experience actually like standing up for myself, which was, yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing to point out as well. I think like mentioning that about, I think often it can be like in your head, it's a bit more where you're thinking, oh, I don't want to say because I don't want to offend anyone, or I might
Yeah,
job or something. But I think, like I said, like you say there, it's a perfect example where just there's no harm in not mentioning it and saying that. And then I think, like you said, they just turn around and they go, that's absolutely fine. And I think a lot of the time it's kind of made worse in your head where you think, oh no, they're not going to like me or they're not for whatever reason. But I think it's definitely that's one of the most, if it's something you're not comfortable with, definitely the most important thing is like, yeah, kind of even if it's mentioned to your agency as well. And I think that really sort of, I think that's probably like the best thing to do. I think also you're saying about the amount of items as well, because I've definitely done some shoots where you're shooting a lot of items and then I know the feeling it's getting
yeah,
to the end of the day. Do you feel, because I feel from my side when I'm shooting, it definitely, you get towards getting as the day's going on and then you just feel like you're almost sometimes you're shooting like for the sake of it and you just to get the item shot and you're not really having much chance to sort of think about the images much and all that. Do you find that from the modeling side as well when you're like you say you're literally chucking items on and off and quickly posing? Do you just, I mean, it's obviously better when you've got less stuff to shoot and you can be a bit more creative, think about stuff, but sometimes
yeah.
that is kind of necessary when there's that many items and it's ecom or whatever. Do you feel that it affects that sort of side when you're modeling as well?
I think yeah, definitely. I think from the model's perspective, I think if you're not in a good place or you're not having a good day and you go in for an e-com shoot, it's possibly the worst thing you can do to yourself because you're going to switch off. You're not going to be present at all. And especially if there's e-com, there's only so many poses you can do without like being too creative. So obviously they don't want it to be creative. They want to sell the product at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it it can drag a lot if you're not present, and it just shows in the images because there's only so much you can do, and if you're not like focusing on the actual images, it's just like you're switched off and you can just tell, like especially your body language and like your face. I think the best thing to do is just not look at the pile because I think you start counting down. You're like, okay, so I've got like 3 left. It's fine. Let's just push it. But if you look at the pile, because with Dora Larson, it was a huge like table and pile just stacked up. There was no rail, so you literally had no idea when you were going to be done. But with other shoots, I just look at the rail. I'm like, no, don't even look at that. Like, you'll be done when you're done. Because if you start like, okay, no, I have 3 left, and then we can go for lunch, and you're just not going to be present. And yeah, I don't think it's the same at all.
Yeah, I think it's the best tactic. I do the same. I think I've got the habit of asking, oh, how many's left? And I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't want to know now. And because also I found sometimes you do that and then you get told, and then sometimes some extra gets added on anyway, so it doesn't really,
yeah.
really
Or it's
matter
like, how
sometimes.
many left? And they're like, oh, just 20. You're like, what?
Yeah.
I thought we were like halfway through. I'm like, no, no.
Yeah. Um, in with shoots you've done, probably more with like test shoots and things like that, do you have certain photographers or other like members of the team, like makeup artists, stylists that you've liked working with? Have you shot with a few people like a few times before? Anyone you work with regularly?
No, I don't think I've been in the industry long enough to be like, oh, I know you. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. I did a I think it was a masterclass with the Inky List, the skincare brand. And I had done a paid test shoot with one of the hairstylists that were working that day. So I walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, I actually know someone. And that was the first time that happened. So I was like, it looks like it's such a big world, but actually it's really not. Like once you start following people, I think Instagram as well, once you start following people on Instagram and like actually working with people, you'll recognize them. Like, and even before you work with them, you're like, oh, okay, so you're that photographer or you're that stylist that did this and this. So it's quite a small world when you're actually in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't actually done a lot to say that, and it's already happened to me. So I can't imagine what it's like for people that have been in the industry for so long. But yeah, I don't think I've worked with someone like with creatives for a lot of jobs to be like, oh, I really like working with them. Obviously, there's people that you connect with a lot more and like talk to them on socials after the shoot and stuff, and there's people that you'll probably never see again. But I don't know. I often find that me and the makeup artists, we just get along so well. Like by the end of it, we're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think so. I think you'll be the makeup artist.
Yeah, I
I
find that
think,
a lot of the time. I think it's because, especially on set, because they're probably one of the people, especially at the start of the shoot, probably one of the people you speak to the most, obviously.
yeah.
So I think I do find that a lot with what models and makeup artists tend to often like stay in contact. And I think in terms of with the industry as well, yeah, the big thing is it's building up contacts and everything. And I think that
Oh
could be a
yeah.
good thing. Like the people you kind of work with regularly as well, it becomes one of those things then when if it's whoever it is, if it's a creative director or a photographer or anyone, and they go, oh, I need someone. And I think if it's someone, if you know them and you've shot them quite a few times, it's your name kind of pops into their head a little bit as well. And I think
Oh yeah,
that
for
really helps.
sure. Yeah, it's literally one of the most important things is like networking in this industry that no one talks about. No one mentions it when you start, but like it's the most important thing. Like even if they don't even know you, but like so and so, like the makeup artist knows you and the photographer mentions something, they're like, oh no, I know this person. And then she'll bring your name up to the photographer and they'll be like, okay, yeah, let's get her involved. Like it's just so important. And you can only network if you're busy and like getting booked and stuff. So it's really hard to like keep in touch. And I feel like especially with London, it's a lot harder because people aren't as friendly as they are up in Manchester.
Mm.
And I can't really like, I'm quite used to like the London style because obviously it's where I do most of the jobs. So I'm quite used to it. So it's quite a shock when you meet someone from up north and they're like, oh my God, hi. And it's the accent and like they hug you and stuff. And it's like, it feels so nice. But yeah.
Is do you get most of your stuff through, is it in Manchester or is it London or is it a bit of mix?
Most of it's from the London agency, I think. But that's because when I'm at uni, I'm in Southampton, and then when I'm at home, I'm in Swindon. And they're only like, if I'm in Swindon, it's 40 minutes on the train for me to get into London. So for them to be like, oh, can you come to Manchester for a test shoot? It's a bit out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if it's London, then I can literally be there in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of the stuff is in London. But yeah, I think it's quite mixed now because you have so many people from Manchester working in London now that you kind of meet everyone from everywhere.
Yeah, well, I know a lot more people are now signed between like Manchester and London as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of models as well that signed with agencies in both. Well, one of the shoots you did, it is in Manchester, isn't it? It was the Foot Asylum shoot. So
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
is, yeah. So that's the next image I was going to move on to. So that was a recent one. Yeah. So with that one was that in their was that in their studio in Manchester?
Yeah, I can't remember what the building was called, but it's that huge building where they have for Asylum, JD, and then like loads of
Oh,
film
the Sharp
studios.
Project. Is
I
it the
think so, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was huge. I pulled up to it. I was like, oh, okay. Um, but yeah, that was so exciting. But it took me 4.5 hours to get there. I had to go there the night before. I stayed in a hotel. I stayed in such a nice hotel. I was like, so see, I'm not used to this at all, like this lifestyle. I'm a student. I'm used to being poor and living from like toast. So they put me in such a nice hotel, and I only stayed there for the one night. So I was quite sad that I didn't get to stay in the hotel for longer. But I went there the night before, and then it was a really early start. So I got to the set, and it took so long for me to get my hair and makeup done because me and the makeup artist, we just kept on waffling. It was so funny because she was so nice and we could relate to like so many things that we both kind of experienced. Um, and yeah, and like everyone on set was so nice. I had never worked there before, and I think I knew one of the photographers that were doing another shoot like on the studio next to us. So I knew him off of Instagram. So when he walked in, you're like, oh, this is Elliot, by the way. Oh, from Instagram. Hi. And then that's how I met them. And then I still have like all of the team that I worked with on Instagram, and they were so lovely. And the photographer, he was doing digital and film, which was nice because I love seeing like the film process. I prefer that to digital because I just find it cool. So that was really nice to work with them, and it was a really chilled day, to be fair. Like it was, the campaign was like the cozy club, so we were just cozy. Like the outfits were comfortable, the shoes were comfortable, and everyone on set was just lovely. So yeah.
Was the type of shoot, was it the same sort of thing as well with, I mean, because it comes across that in the images where it seems, yeah, really casual, really relaxed. And again, as you're shooting, was it just kind of that, is it not really, was it not really quick pace? Was it just more sort of,
No,
yeah.
no, we got the images so quick. Like we were meant to finish at 5. I think we finished at like 2:30, 3, and we stopped for lunch. So yeah, it was really slow paced because there was only 3 pairs of shoes that we needed to shoot, but obviously each shoe had their own outfit. So the makeup was the same. The makeup didn't need changing. It was just the outfits. And because me and the other model, we kind of looked related. Never met before. Um, yeah, we had like a nice interaction, I guess, a nice kind of connection. So it wasn't like there was no friction or anything. So they were like, okay, let's go. We would just like lean on each other, and it was just, it felt comfortable, which is what they wanted, which is the theme of the campaign. So I think because we were comfortable, like me and the model together, I think it was just really easy to get the pictures like that.
Yeah. How was it with working with another model as well? Was it, do you find that, does it help? Does it sort of say you felt like quite like relaxed because you both got on? Do you find it kind of helps with the shoot where you can sort of bounce off ideas with each other a bit and sort of poses?
Um, I think that's the only time that I've actually had to work with someone, like, because with the sports, no, not sports direct, pro direct, it was sorry, it was the group, but it wasn't like we were interacting, we were just next to each other. But whereas with the foot asylum one, we actually had to talk and, like, work together. I think that was really nice because the model was really nice, but I've been to castings before which have just completely thrown me off. Like, I just, you never know what to expect with people, because obviously everyone's trying to, make it, let's say. So some people are nice, some people just genuinely don't care. So I'm always so scared to work with other models, because obviously, especially if they've been in the industry for a lot longer, or they have like a huge following, I'm just so scared because I'm so shy. Like, they could be horrible to me and I'd be like, okay, thank you. Like, I just don't contradict. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, I don't know, I'm just so scared to have that experience, because it just, one, you won't get like the best out of the shoot, and like the image, you'll be able to see it in the images, and then I'd hate for the client to be like, what is this? And then, yeah, but luckily I've only had positive experiences. Maybe not on castings, but like working, yeah, I've only had positive experiences, and that definitely makes a difference. It makes the day go really fast, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, you can tell straight away as well when you're like on set and stuff, and if you've got two models and they turn up, you can tell pretty early on if there's going to be like a decent connection.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, I think there's almost nothing worse if you get there and the models just aren't clicking. But it's very hard to even like for casting for that, because you're casting the models, but then you're not sure how they're going to react with each other. So it is one of those things, it can be a bit of a lottery. But yeah, I think, like I say, with this shoot, you can see that it just seems quite relaxed. And I think from your side as well, you just, it makes it a bit easier from your side. You just know, oh yeah, she's going to be nice to get on with. It's going to be a nice, comfortable day.
Yeah, you can literally tell straight away, like, especially if it's girls. I don't know how it is with boys. Like, I actually asked one of my friends if it was the same for boys, and he said that it's not really. Obviously, you get like people that are just rude naturally, but it's not really that often that they come across it. But with girls, I remember I walked into a casting once, and it was for quite a big brand. It was for a makeup brand, and there was, I think it was like 25, 30 girls in a room. And obviously we all looked the same, all black, bag. And I walked into the room, and obviously I'm quite smiley. I'm quite like, hi. I walked into the room, and everyone, they were just all on their phones. And it was like, I was like, oh my God. I didn't, because I said hello to everyone. No one said hello. I was like, okay, I'll just sit over here and read my book and just wait. But it was so jarring to be in that room with that tension, because I was like, what is the need? Like, at the end of the day, they're going to pick who they're going to pick. Like, it doesn't matter if you're nice or horrible to me. That's literally not going to make a difference. So why choose to be nasty? It's just so, I don't get it. But it's really, you can experience really like unpleasant side of those that
well, I was going to say, I find it makes, like I say, that kind of choice of, you can be nice and sort of smile, or you can be really sort of standoffish and horrible. And I think it makes the day a lot easier when you are nice and when you're just friendly. And they say that the big thing, like stuff with phones as well, I think I've definitely noticed that even on kind of like shoots a bit and stuff as well. And it's it can be a big thing where it almost creates this bit of a divide. And I think
oh yeah, definitely. I think that was one of the main things that Jador said on that first meeting that we had. They were like, just don't go on your phones. One, it looks unprofessional, and two, you can actually miss an opportunity. And I took that on board, like, because obviously at home, if I'm talking to my parents, I don't go on my phone. Or if I'm with a friend, I do not go on my phone. Everyone knows that. So at work, obviously I try and do the same thing, but it's so hard because I consciously do it. Like I will go to have lunch with them and I'll put my phone in my pocket, like on silent, and I won't get it out because I'll try and to interact with them. But it's really hard when you have the whole team there and they're all like eating lunch and just
Yeah, because
so
you feel like you're just sat there like sort of
yeah,
staring
you're like,
staring at the phones. Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard to just not blend in and just go on your phone. But sometimes that is the case, but most of the time, if they can see that you're trying to make an effort, obviously they'll talk to you and stuff. And that's probably one of the reasons why I never get BTS because I'm never on my phone at work. So I remember my dad called me once and I was in the middle of a shoot and he never calls if he knows I'm working. I was like, oh my gosh, something's happened. So I call him, I pick up and I'm so sorry, guys, I need to pick this up. I pick it up and it's FaceTime. And he's just sat at home like, hi. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? Oh, you working? I'm so sorry. No, I just wanted to talk. And I was like, oh my God, I thought you were dying. What are you doing? But that, yeah. So it is really, really important to just try and get off your phone and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really good point to mention. With yeah, looking towards the future with everything coming up, are there any certain types of themes or concepts or anything you want to try and shoot, or any types of brands that you're looking to work with?
I have no idea, if I'm quite honest, because I did a so I had my last exam on Friday, so a week ago, and it went, it was just awful. It was traumatic, and I had work the next day on Saturday, and obviously because I had that whole period of just stress, exam stress, assignment stress, final year, and now they're doing this thing where it's like, okay, so you're a finalist, what are you going to do with your life after uni? So there's all of that going on like one part of my brain. And then the other part is like, but actually, are you going to take this modeling thing seriously? Because at the moment, you're just, going with the flow. So I literally have no idea because if I follow my academic path, then I'll have like a stable job and it'll be fine. But with modeling, one day you're working, one day you're not. Like there's no stability. So for the past 2 months, I've literally not thought about modeling at all. Obviously, you can't help like comparison and stuff. Like obviously I wasn't working, but I had Instagram and stuff, and I could see like all of my other friends like getting really good campaigns, and you can't help but feel like you're falling behind and stuff. So I don't know, because now that the exam stress is finally like subsided and I can go back to functioning like a normal human, I'm kind of thinking about it because obviously it is getting close to ending the modern languages degree part of my life. I don't know. I think I'm so scared to even think about it because I want to take a year off for sure, whether that's to travel or to just focus on modeling. I definitely want to take that year off. But at the same time, I do need to, pay my bills and stuff. So am I going to go and work as an interpreter because that's what I want to do with my degree? Or I don't know. It's literally, I think modeling is just luck. And I don't have like one specific photographer that I'm like, that's the goal. I need to work with them because I don't know much about the industry still. I follow obviously some people that I look and I'm like, oh, I really like the way that he works or that she works. And there's certain models that I follow that I'm like, okay, she kind of looks like me. And if she's doing well, then maybe I can see how she's doing it so that I can apply it to my own life. And yeah, but at the moment, I think I found one of the models that signed, I can't remember what agency she signed with, but I know that I followed the agency that she was signed with, and I saw her and I was like, she's walking for Valentino, and she's not plus size, she's literally a normal female, but she's got curves and she's got like fat, she's not like anorexic, let's say. I was like, how is she walking for Valentino looking like closer to what I am? So I was like, if she's doing it, then surely we're taking like the right steps to evolve, because that's part of the reason why I didn't even want to do anything to do with modeling, because obviously I'm not your average size, like zero, you know, like I'm Brazilian, like I have bigger hips, I have like, I'm 90% legs, and I didn't see that. And all the Brazilian models that have made it, like Giselle, Adriana, they're all like, they all have the same height as me, they all have wider hips, but they're all like very, very skinny, and I'm not. So I was like, well, if I do want to take this seriously, do I need to change? These are all questions that I still don't have the answer to. So I'll let you know once I know, because at the moment I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I know I have options, but I think it comes down to luck. Like, I don't know, you can work with one client and then that one photo of you like just blows up. I think that's how you can actually live of just modeling. I don't think you can do it if you have like, if you're lucky enough to come from quite a wealthy background, then I think that helps you a lot, especially at the start. Because my parents are we're from a normal middle class family in Swindon, in the countryside. Like, I'm not wealthy, let's say, so I couldn't just ask my parents like, oh dad, can you just give me £350 for a test shoot, and then, oh, can you do it again though next week? It just didn't work like that, because obviously I've always worked whilst I've been at uni, but during lockdown I wasn't working, because I used to work for Ralph Lauren and I don't know if you've been to Swindon, but there's an outlet centre in Swindon, and I used to work there. And that was the first year, but obviously I didn't go back because obviously lockdown and my dad and all. So I couldn't just drop like huge amounts of money on paid test shoots to build my portfolio. Whereas if someone from a wealthier background wants to start a modeling career, they can literally get started like that.
Yeah.
So that's all factors that no one tells you. No one tells you how expensive it is to actually start.
Yeah.
And there's loads of scams out there. I remember when I was researching, like right at the start before J'adore, it was like, oh, give us £1,500 and we'll get you a portfolio and a contract and stuff. I'm like, do people actually fall for this? But yeah, it's.
I've heard of some of those as well, and I think like you said as well, I think I mean it's the same on the photography side as well. I think it's getting into it. It's definitely a good thing to point. It can be expensive, and it does feel like at first it is like a bit of a gamble, and it is a bit of that. Sometimes it's that bit of luck, and let's say it could just be working with the right people or whatever. But yeah, definitely it can. I think you just need to. It's really true. I think you just kind of have to. If you go for it, you just have to chuck yourself into it and go for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you mentioned about having if you do have a year off or something like that. I think that can always help, and it can kind of help with if you kind of figuring out what path you want to take. So that's something that might help with that. But I mean, what you've shot so far, like I say, we've gone through some of the campaigns you've done so far in a short period of time as well. I think it's a good starting point. You've done well so far. So I think if you do decide to carry on with it, I think yeah, you've done well so far. So I do hope that it goes on down that path. But
yeah, I do hope so, because I do genuinely enjoy it, and it's so weird. I probably shouldn't say that, but it's so weird because people, I don't tell people what I do at all. So if they meet me out on like the street, or if I'm grabbing a coffee with someone and they're like, oh, so how's life? Da, da, da. I'm like, uni. And they're like, oh, but I saw on your Instagram, but da, da, da. Like, oh yeah, there's that as well. I still don't tell, but it's so weird to me because in my head, I've got it ingrained that you're only an actual model if you like, if you're everywhere, if you're like Bella Hadid or Gigi or like, you know, those people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so weird because I am, because I've got the contract, but in my head, I'm still like, no, you're just a student. Shush, don't mention that, because I'm scared of like the perception and like the switch that people can have. Like as soon as you mention that, they just look at you differently. And it's so bizarre, especially like with the different cultures. Like in Brazil, it's like centuries behind, as I'm sure you know. So still, to my family, they don't get it. They really don't get it. They're like, so wait, are you a model? No, but like, don't you need to be skinny to be a model? I'm like, yes. And then now that I've like started to do more campaigns, like because obviously Adidas is worldwide. Like if I told them, I don't know, I did a Gymshark campaign, they'd be like, what? And then I said Adidas, and they're like, oh, okay, no, that's big. Okay, so you're actually doing it. And then with the Converse one and the Cozy Club one, it was like, even the picture though, it was just me wearing the shoes. You couldn't even see me. I showed them that and they're like, oh my God, yay. And just to see that shift in their mentality, like, oh, okay, no, she's doing it. Like, it's just, yeah, it's just nice. I'd love to do it full time, but I think you do need to definitely invest a lot of time and money into it for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good advice and good kind of thing to point out for people starting with it as well. But no, like I say, I hope it goes well, and whatever you decide to do goes well. But I'm glad that all the exams are done. I hope that all goes well and everything. You get the results you wanted.
Yeah, me too.